my skin so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Life Gorgeous. My name is Young Craigers, and this is where I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life. It's kind of an exclusive club, all the quality people who tune in to the Life Gorgeous. Coming up in moments, the annual visit from the great sportscaster Ian Eagle. Very entertaining. But first, a few words on the Vikings' loss in Dublin, Ireland. That one hurt. During the game, I said, it's going to be a long season. And what I mean by that is our record at the end of the season might not be that good. It's a new day. I'm a little more optimistic that we'll go 3-2 as we play over in London this coming Sunday. Couple thoughts, couple observations. I'm going to jump right out and say it. KOC, I want better play calling, get the ball out quick. Aaron Rodgers did it. Sam Bradford used to do it with the Vikings. No long passing routes right now. You pick your spots with those. Get it out, get it out, get it out. We have a problem with our offensive line. Everybody's hurt. I don't care right now. I just want to win, and I want quicker passes, shorter passing routes. Somebody please get this message to KOC. Somebody. Get it to Wes Phillips. And, of course, Carson Wentz has to get rid of it faster. But the plays have got to develop faster. I'm worried about the defense. We don't have Blake Cashman back yet or Andrew Van Ginkel. We will after the bye. Defense against the run has to improve. We just got to win. We have to win this Sunday. But the offense has to be better. Has to be better. And I'm going to go right at KOC because you're going to get either J.J. McCarthy or Carson Wentz, and they're not going to get a lot of time. So just quick, short passes. A-Rod did it. Aaron Rodgers, and I know he's a stud, but they've got to do it with the Vikings, and it starts with the play calling. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, look at me just adjusting, perfectly centered. Here now is Ian Eagle. Enjoy. Once a year, it's a tradition like no other. The Birdman, Ian Eagle, the 2022-2024 Sportscaster of the Year. Are those years correct, sir?
Correct. You're off to a flying start, Craigers.
Great to see you, brother.
You too. This is an annual tradition now. How many years? Do you think it's 4? Is that
something
possible?
Like that? And there are people, they message me, isn't it time for Ian Eagle to be back on? We were doing it in August, but that's kind of a busy month for both of us. Now you're so nice to squeeze me in during football season.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I have a lot going on with Bolivia and the cartel, and I just try to keep everything in line here. Thank you.
So, Ian, I do a lot of research, and I have a big research department at the Life Gorgeous. And I have found out that recently, as of I think last week, NFL Films did a feature on the father-son sportscasting dynamic of Ian and Noah Eagle. That had to be a real joy for you guys.
It was tremendous. Yeah, they came by and spent a few hours with us. And then, Craig, as you know, you have no idea what happens after that. They just do a bunch of interviews and ask questions. But Chip Swain, who was the producer on it, he clearly had a passion for the broadcasting side of NFL, and he did a fantastic job. NFL Films is first rate, but it was really cool to share it with Noah, cool to share it with my family, and something we'll have forever. 9 minutes of pure gold.
Yes. So when you get interviewed and you drop an F-bomb, do you say to the producer, please take that out?
I don't. I feel like it's important to be you. It's important that the public gets a full 360-degree view of you. So no,
Right.
if that's what I was feeling in the moment, I want to let it fly, Greg.
I had this joke where it's like, it has to be really rewarding to have your son follow in your footsteps and be this
Yep.
successful. But my joke is, you'd probably be disappointed if Noah was a doctor or a lawyer. You're glad
Yeah.
he's a sportscaster, right?
Yes. That would have been a stain on the family name to go into a actual profession. You're right.
Right.
No, it's funny. He did not ever voice any of this till he was probably 14 or so, that he showed a legitimate interest. He always paid attention and he always asked me really interesting questions, but I think he downplayed that part of it and wanted to see what path he was on. But at about 14, he started voicing an interest in it. But to be perfectly frank, Craig, my wife and I dropped him off at Syracuse. You do the whole bit. You go to Target, you pick up stuff for his room, you go to dinner, you say your goodbyes, you have your emotional moments, you have the hug, you cry a little bit, and then you get in the car to drive away. And my wife and I both went to Syracuse. There's this very specific turn that leads to the highway. And then once you hit that highway, it's hours until you get home. And as we made the turn, my wife turned to me and asked, this is after looking at colleges, talking it through, having real conversations. And she asked me, is he going to be any good at this? And I said, 100% being frank, I said, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because you don't. As
Yep.
you know, you have no clue until you actually do it.
Yeah. Did he always have a good voice, or how did that work? Because sometimes I know Michael Grady, as do you. And I interviewed him and he said he woke up one morning. I can't remember the age, but he woke up one morning and his mom was like, what is that? What is that? All of a sudden he had a Barry White voice one morning.
Yeah.
And he was a teenager, but did Noah always have a good voice?
For Grady, it happened at 8. I asked him the same question. He was 8 years old. It's amazing. It was defying science.
Right.
Noah had a very similar experience to Peter Brady, I would say. It shifted slowly, and then out of nowhere, when it's time to change, he had the moment.
Right.
Yeah, he's found the deeper tones of his voice. There's no doubt about it. And it's an interesting thing with our business, as you know. You find a lane that you're comfortable in, and then once you get there, you tend to lean into it. And the voice thing is always a really intriguing part of it, because some people just have that natural baritone, and then sometimes in play-by-play, that could be too deep. There has to be this one element to your voice that cuts through, that resonates, that it slices through the crowd noise in some way. And sometimes with a deeper voice, it could blend into the crowd noise, even though in day-to-day life, you'd say, man, what a set of pipes. But then when you mix it in with the ambient noise, it may not have the same effect. Al Michaels, Mike Emmerich, there are a few out there that just had a very unique sound that was not the throwback that we always imagine that sports broadcasters had to have.
Yeah, and some of the guys that have we call it the pipes.
The pipes.
Kevin Calabro has the pipes.
Oh, yeah, great pipes. Great pipes.
And it's just fun. It's fun to listen to these guys. It's interesting what you say about Al Michaels, because staying on voices but jumping out of sports in acting, I noticed back in the day, there were unique. Humphrey Bogart had a unique voice. Jimmy Stewart had a unique voice.
Yep.
And it stands out. And as opposed to some guys who just have normal voices and they're just great actors. Like Leo DiCaprio, I'm a fan, but he doesn't have an amazing voice.
No.
I don't know if you're familiar with Titus Welliver. He
Oh yeah.
has
I
a great,
watched
Bosch.
all of Bosch.
Yeah.
You know, I consumed all of it, and it was a tremendous show, and he's great. And it's funny, on one of my social media kicks,
Yeah.
when you start going down rabbit holes, even though I don't have any public accounts, I pay attention. I know what's going on. It was an interaction that Titus Welliver had with Christopher Walken. I don't know if you've seen that, where he's described the first time he met him, then the second time he met him, and he does an impeccable walk-in, which shows his range. And now Jay Moore, who keeps popping up more and more, who's a great comic and impressionist, he has shown the range of Al Pacino as well. Frank Caliendo's in there too. There are a few guys.
That. Yeah.
Did you see that where Pacino now is so low?
Yeah.
And he used to be really high. Just watch some of his early movies, and he was up a few octaves, and now he's guttural in his performances.
Right.
So you're right about actors, ones that can manipulate, and even their voices change over time and develop.
The thing about, I'm a big Bosch fan. I mean, really big. I watch it. I rewatch it, and I've watched the new show with Maggie Q called Ballard. But Titus does impressions, but his voice is baritone. It's deep. So he's fortunate that way. And anyway, I want to go back to that feature on you guys on NFL Films. So I hadn't really thought about this, but they stated that you will say intercepted as opposed to picked off.
Yeah.
And I think that's instinctively great, because as a fan, we love or loathe a fumble or an interception. So to say those magic words are either exciting for us if our team has the interception, or devastating. So is that something you just said, I have to say the word intercepted?
You know what I realized pretty early? I was doing radio in 97 for the Jets. So I had done their pregame show from 93 to 96, took over on play-by-play in 97, and then CBS got the rights in 98. So my launch point was more on the radio side. And I thought multi-syllabic words were more effective in helping convey the emotion, and intercepted more syllables than picked off. So my first punch, at least in my mind, was that was going to be a really good descriptor for someone driving in the car. Then when I made the transition to TV, I didn't really have any bad habits, because I'd only done the 1 year of radio. So a lot of my philosophies were still very fresh and new. And a lot of the things that I did, I transferred over to the TV side, and that was one of them. I just thought, even on television, there is something, you're so right, it catches your attention. Now, in the case of a game that I had recently, the Pittsburgh New England game, where you have multiple interceptions and you have multiple fumbles, there is something in the back of my mind that reminds me, hey, vary it up. Don't make the same call every time. So there are times where I'll throw in a picked off because I just don't want to keep saying the same word over and over again.
Well, if they weren't so sloppy throwing those picks.
It's really on them.
They're making you work, man.
Yeah, it's on them, Craigers. You're so right.
One of the things I love that you do, and all the guys do, but I do find your voice exciting. Plus the humor is what drew me in at the beginning. But you talked about it. Your voice goes up, the enthusiasm is there, and that makes it more exciting for the fans. And I did that when I was at ESPN. Obviously, again, I always say the games were over. They were just the highlights of the NBA game. But I pretended I had not seen the dunk or the move. Like I'm surprised. And if Steve Kerr would dive on the floor to get a loose ball, fundamentally sound. But you do add excitement by getting excited. That's kind of obvious, right?
Yeah, I think the other part of it too, and I know you can relate to it when you started doing Sports Center and it started to really hit and there was a reaction from the audience. And I think a lot of it was based on your sense of wonder that, hey, I get to do this every night
Right.
and I want to make it count. I'm not going to just poo-poo a set of
Patchouli.
highlights
Yes.
because I've been doing this so long.
Right.
And that's really coming from a place of I love what I do. This is what I always dreamed of doing. I don't take any of it for granted. So, as cliche as it might sound, there is still that childlike part of the equation of I'm in this booth, I've got this headset on, the game is happening in front of me, and I'm the conduit to the audience. If I'm not into it, if I'm not excited,
Right.
if I'm not engaged, how would I possibly expect the audience to feel that way? If someone jumps out of their chair watching a game, I want my call to match
The
that
jumping.
emotion. Now you have to pick and choose your spots. It's
Yeah.
the little boy who cried wolf theory. You still have to leave room. But I do think this is interesting. I don't know if I've ever thought of it this way, but just uh, correlating the two now. The fact that I started doing basketball play-by-play before I started doing football play-by-play probably helped me because basketball is very much rat-a-tat-tat. You've got to rise to the moment. You don't know if that moment is going to be the best moment of the game, of the year. There's an example of a Nets season. Jared Allen was young in his career, and LeBron James comes in, and Jared Allen, I think it was 22 seconds into the game, blocks his shot at the rim. And you could find this highlight. And I was calling Jared Allen the Fro at the time. He was growing out his fro, and he kind of liked the nickname, so I stuck with it. And LeBron James was and is the king. So the call was the Fro just got the king. And this was like game 3 or 4 of the season. So now instinctually you would say, hey, you're 20 seconds into the game. It's game 3 or 4 of the season. Easy does it
Right.
on
Right.
how much you lean in. It ended up being the highlight of the year for the Nets.
That's
And if I
hilarious.
let that go by
Yeah.
without giving it
Yeah.
its proper due,
Yes.
then you're doing a disservice to the player, to the moment, to the situation. And I
Yeah.
really brought that same mentality to the NFL.
There is a balance to, yeah, what you're saying is when to go, not overboard, but when
Yeah.
to really get enthusiastic. I wanted to ask you a technical question on the voice thing because I did a little play-by-play in college, but I knew, and I don't know if I'm describing it the right way, but I'm not saying it's a thin voice, but I don't have the endurance on my
Mm.
voice to go 4 quarters or 2 halves. And I knew that I could sound good for, 10 or 20 seconds. Are you sportscasters aware that you play by play
Yep.
that you have a voice that sounds the same in the first quarter that it does in the fourth? And did you ever know a guy who wanted to do play by play, but his voice couldn't last the whole game?
Yeah, you've got to have a little bit of a leather lung to do this job because
Mhm.
you're right. If you come out of the gate strong, but you can't finish with the same enthusiasm, the same resonance, then you've got a problem. My first year doing NBA was radio, 1994. I had no idea what I was doing. I had a semblance of the job. I had been doing updates and talk shows at WFAN radio in New York. I was probably a long shot to get the job, but I interviewed very well. And the team president, John Spolstra, Eric Spolstra's father,
Oh,
took a liking to me. And we just hit it off in the interview. And I think he just believed in me and not necessarily believed in my play-by-play at that point. I basically told him in the interview, I'll eventually be good at this. I'm a quick study.
right.
I'll get there. And he believed me and he trusted me. And I think he saw a future. And I did say in the interview, this was kind of a ballsy thing to say, but I said, I really believe I'm going to do well in this business. I was 25 years old. I said, if you hire me, you will always be the person that gave me my first huge break. And there was a glint in his eye.
Yeah.
And that can go one of two ways. Either
Yeah.
someone buys in, or their reaction is, you douchebag. What? How dare you?
Right.
So he bought in. But that year, Craig, I had a tough time managing my voice. I think 4 quarters of radio, not really recognizing yet how to use my voice. My parents were in entertainment, and I remember very clearly times before they had to go on stage, and my mom, who was the singer of the two, my dad was the stand-up comedian and trumpet player. My mom had no voice. And I would turn to my dad and I said, I'm talking about 6, 7 years old. I said, what's mom going to do? How is she possibly going to go on stage in an hour? And he said, Ian, your mom has an ability to go above her chords and perform. And I thought, dude, I'm 6. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're at a graduate level discussion with a very young person. But years later, it connected. And I've gotten to a place where I know if I have my A voice, B voice, C voice. I've done games with a D+ voice.
Yeah.
And somewhere in my second or third year of doing play-by-play, it all hit. I realized how to use it, how to navigate it, how to manage it. And now I'm going on about 30 years of that.
Yeah.
And it's helped me immensely. But I understand you're not alone. I think there were a lot of people that tried play-by-play, and the pure endurance part of it, they didn't have any juice in the fourth quarter of a game or the second half. And it's an issue.
I asked if I could just do the fourth quarter, but it didn't make sense.
You're like Mariano Rivera. You just come in.
The closer.
You close it.
You know, Michael Grady, I met him, a group of us, when the Wolves were in town to play the Lakers. We met at this restaurant, and I forgot to ask him, but he was drinking hot tea, and I didn't know if he doesn't drink alcohol and only drinks hot tea. But it makes me respect Pat Summerall even more, because I don't think he was ever at a bar drinking hot tea. But are you a tea guy? Do you have to warm up the vocal cords?
I am. Yeah. I do a very specific tea. It's called throat coat. I'll do that before every game.
Okay.
And now it's just gotten to the point, doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the time of year.
Yeah.
I just know, but I only do one. I know others, Ryan Rucco, who does ESPN and NBA for Yes with the Nets, terrific broadcaster, terrific guy. He'll have 4 of them. I don't know how he doesn't wet himself.
Yeah, I know.
Game.
Yeah, you got
that might be an issue. Soiling might be a problem for me. I do one. I'm good with one, and then that'll carry me out. I had a trick for many years. I don't use it anymore, but someone taught it to me. I can't remember who threw it out there. I would take a Ricola, and then I would put the Ricola in a bottle of water, drop it in, and then let it soak in the water. And then I would sip that water over the course of 4 quarters. I still use Ricolas. They're very good. I'm going to get into a technical side here, Craig. I know you can handle it. I'm hoping your audience can handle it. I don't know how often on the podcast this has come up, but phlegm is not your friend.
Yeah.
The goal is to rid yourself of phlegm while you're doing the broadcast. That's like kryptonite. You got to avoid it. And it's phlegm with a PH. I hope people understand the spelling. It's PHLEGM.
GM.
Very odd spelling.
Yeah.
Not your friend.
Stay away from yogurt. No yogurt pregame.
No. Dairy. You don't want dairy. I'm
No.
not joking. I try to avoid any of that prior to a game because it can produce a substance that is not going to help you. When I grew up, my dad was definitely a throwback in terms of health, even though he was not a model of health by any stretch, but he was trying to project a sense of being healthy onto me. And I had to have a glass of milk and orange juice every morning before I went to school. And I would get to school and I was stuffed up. And finally one day I said to him, like, hey, this isn't working for me. This is a bad combination. I don't know who you're talking to that you think this is the right thing to do before I go to school. So we ended that at some point.
Oh, I've got some NFL questions for you.
Yep.
You've done at least two Aaron Rodgers games. I
Yes.
don't know what you did the second weekend, but I watched the first one against the Jets. How is he playing? I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, and
Yep.
I was one of a few people from Minnesota who said, I don't mind JJ McCarthy sitting another year,
Yeah.
and let's take a chance on Aaron Rodgers because I think he's so gifted throwing the ball. And we all saw what Brett Favre did with the Vikings.
Yes.
So I guess, how do you think he's playing? Let me specifically, is he playing better than he did last year with the Jets?
I don't think he played that poorly last year with the Jets. I think they definitely had some issues on the offensive line last year with the Jets. I don't know if it was a great fit with the coaching changes, and the offense never really came together. Not sure he ever truly bonded with his weapons, that him and Garrett Wilson didn't have this incredible chemistry, although Wilson's numbers were good. Look, his mobility is not there anymore. He's going to be 42 years old. He can still sling it. Watch him throw a ball. He still throws among the prettiest balls in the NFL. That's not even up for debate.
Yeah.
But the problem so far for Pittsburgh is they just have not gotten their run game going. So all of the play action stuff that would be really effective for him is based on them establishing the run. So the offensive line, I do think, takes on some of that. They've got a bunch of young players on that O-line. They've trusted them to do the job. They believe in them. I think it will continue to get better. Aaron has a very high standard that he plays with, and he'll get on guys, and he'll do it in front of everybody. He has no problem after a play. We had a bunch of shots of it, of him pointing at someone or gesturing that they didn't make the right move. That's how he's wired. And at this stage of his career, he's got a finite number of games left. I think he looks at all of these as one of the last ones he'll ever be a part of. So he wants it to be smooth. He wants the operation to be clean. And it's been a little bit disjointed here and there. But are they at this point where they want to be? No. Even with a couple of victories under their belt, defensively, obviously they made a bunch of things happen against New England, but they're still getting gashed. And then offensively, I think we're all waiting for that breakout game where everything just works for them, and that would have to include the run.
That breakout game is not coming this weekend. They are playing my Minnesota Vikings overseas.
Yes.
I don't know who's calling that game, but
I believe it's a Fox game. I think it's Joe Davis and Greg Olson, I believe.
What are your thoughts? Do you have an opinion on Carson Wentz? Because I've always liked him, but I haven't seen him play that much. I thought when he was younger, he ran a little bit more. He's big. He's 6'5".
Yep.
Played solid. He played solid the other day.
He did.
Our offensive line hasn't clicked yet because we got some guys out, but Darisaw came back. But do you have a general feeling on Carson Wentz? Because I had an opinion on Sam Darnold. I knew he had an arm, but he did in the last two games of the season last year, at Detroit and then in the playoff game against the Rams. He I don't want to use the word choked, but he froze up and got sacked. He wouldn't get rid of the ball. And it was like, okay, this guy, he kind of came back down to earth. But what are your thoughts on Carson Wentz?
Really interesting that this particular time of his career, he ended up on this team, the team that he grew up rooting for, a team that he has a connection with, and all the different places he's been. I think Carson has learned a whole lot about football and about himself. My early memories of Carson Wentz are meeting with him in Philadelphia. He was having an MVP level season
early on. Yeah.
I'm not just throwing it out there to be dramatic. this is not for effect. You can go back and look at the numbers, what that team was doing. He gets injured. Nick Foles comes in, and the rest is history. They win the Super Bowl, and I think it was clunky. It was awkward. QB rooms are always such a crazy mix of ego and accomplishment and give and take, because if you're a backup quarterback, it behooves you to believe that you could step in and win. In fact, that's what you've been hired to do. Yeah. You've been hired to have the mentality that if I'm called upon, I can go run this offense. But then you also have to recognize that someone's ahead of you on the depth chart, and they're making more money than you, and they're on billboards and campaign ads, and you're the backup for a reason. So your ego has to remain in check, but your confidence still has to be very high. He always struck me as ultra confident. Mm-hmm. That's never been an issue, but I think his ego took a hit in Philadelphia. Right. They won the Super Bowl without him, Craig.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. That's emotional when it's your team, your guys, your offense, your season, and then poof, and then the other guy wins it. And it definitely affected him that following year, and then the ensuing years. He got paid, so they validated him, they believed in him, and he's bounced around since then. This is actually a golden opportunity. I don't know, and I'm not sure what your feelings are. If they keep winning games, if they go to Ireland and beat Pittsburgh and he plays well, and then they win again, and now JJ's healthy. I'm not saying controversy, here we come, but I know Kevin O'Connell well enough. He's going to do what's best for the team and whatever the team requires in that moment. And if it's Carson Wentz who's doing it, then it might be a few more weeks on the bench for JJ, or it might be the rest of the season, and we get the opposite of what Wentz experienced in Philly.
Yeah, they already asked KOC yesterday about that. I'm rooting for JJ McCarthy. I do like the way he moves. I like guys that are mobile. I think he has a good arm. What I'm concerned about is he didn't have a good offensive line, but he also held the ball too long. Some people say that he hasn't adjusted to the speed of the game yet. But my thing is, there was a report from one of the guys who said the locker room wants to win. These are veterans. Yeah. So if Carson Wentz is playing well, keep him in there. Now he's only had one game, but I would say if he's playing well and we're winning, don't make a change. I want to win too right now. And if we win a Super Bowl with Carson Wentz, I'll be ecstatic. I don't think we're in that place right now. Our offense really has to get going, and it hasn't. But sometimes, just to get technical, we sometimes think KOC runs the receiver routes are too long developing. And I don't know if you remember, we had Pat Shurmur as a offensive coordinator, and our offensive line was bad, and Sam Bradford had bad knees. So they would just throw under the sticks and never get a first down. And the fans were going crazy, but he would have gotten annihilated if the receivers went beyond the first down mark. Anyway, let me ask you a couple more football questions. Is your life, will it always remain empty if you never get to call a Van Ginkel interception? Because I love saying Van Ginkel. My buddy Rich Eisen got to do the one over in London last year. Van Ginkel pick 6 on Aaron Rodgers. Have you done a Van Ginkel game?
I've had a Van Ginkel game. I've never had a Van Ginkel interception. You're right. I need it. And now it's going to drive me even more. So if I get a Vikings assignment, which I hope I do, I love going there. I love doing games in that stadium. Yeah. I love the atmosphere. I love the fans. I love the game operation, the game day operation, what they do during timeouts, keeping the crowd involved. It's top notch. But now I have this added motivation of fulfilling not just your dream, but now our shared dream of doing a Van Ginkel interception call. You're so right.
I love that name.
It's a great name.
You just reminded me. I wanted to ask you a little inside football. So they do the skull chant, and then they have the Gallahorn, and they have a celebrity, somebody significant, blow the Gallahorn. And my understanding is they don't really do anything. They just fake it and then they have the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mike Conley of the Timberwolves did it, and it was already going, and he hadn't even gone up.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah, you got to
sniffed it
time
out.
it. You got the director's
sniffed
got
it
to
out.
cut away. But do you know anything about that operation or not?
Well, this is what I know about it. I'd like to get you there. I believe that it's
Ah,
your time.
yeah.
So if there's anything that I can do to help bring this along, I will do my part to get you to that place. You belong there. You deserve it. I think the crowd would love it.
Yeah.
It would be obviously a highlight of your life. So I'm going to work on that. I actually know some people, and I'm not even being facetious. I'm gonna poke around.
Thank you for that. My immediate reaction was, what if I did it? I did, and then I passed out. I pass out because I blew too hard.
You know what?
Yeah.
That would also be pretty impressive because
Yeah.
no one's done that.
Remember
And
Maynard Ferguson, the trumpet player, when he had
Sure.
the big cheeks,
sure.
and Dizzy Gillespie had the big cheeks. Anyway, I don't know if you have an opinion on this. I just threw it out there. It's kind of interesting. Do you have an
Okay.
opinion on Tom Brady being on Fox and Raiders ownership, or do you not care?
No, I don't care necessarily, but I understand the reaction from people. My feeling on this has been fairly straightforward. If the coaches have no issue with it, the ones that he's covering, then I'm not sure why fans should have an issue over it. But
Okay.
I get it. It's not a great optic. I have lived that life of going into facilities and having access to players or practice and coaches. And my only point with it is it's not one size fits all. It's not as if you walk into a practice and they hand you the game plan and tell you, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. Every coach is different in how they handle these production meetings. Some are pretty forthright.
Yeah.
And others are very close to the vest. They're old school football guys, and they'll give you very little, and their answers are curt, and they'll do the minimum to get through your 15 minutes. It's based on relationships. It's based on familiarity. It's based on how long you've been doing it. So Tom Brady could pick up the phone any moment of the day and get somebody on the line that knows about the team that he's about to cover, inside information, whatever that might mean.
Right.
He's watching tape. He's preparing for these games. I'm sure he sees a lot of things that are helpful for him and then trying to create success with the Raiders. That's the part of it that you're mentioning, which is, okay, can you do both? Are you not in a conflict of interest situation? Obviously, the NFL right now does not deem that it is a conflict of interest. We do have this in a couple other sports where there are broadcasters that own a part of a team. I did tennis for many years, and I can't tell you how many times I worked with someone that was broadcasting and coaching. They were coaching a player and they were broadcasting for a network. And
Brad Gilbert.
Yes. It happened all the time. So there's a professionalism and there's a certain standard that you need to be at in order to do this job. The part that's taken on a life of its own is the production meetings. And that's the part that I'm not sure what people think happens at these things. That's not the part that's going to give him an unfair advantage. First of all, he's not allowed to go to the facility. So he's not there. He's on Zoom and he's talking to coaches and players that way. The NFL has determined that the league was not comfortable. Other owners were not comfortable with him going to facilities. And I can understand that. And
Interesting.
He's followed it.
Oh, one more NFL thing before we turn to the NBA.
Yep.
I didn't really follow it in the off season, but I actually like the new kickoff rules because we're getting more run backs. Are they saying this is safe because of the distance where the defense is, the speed's not going to be as great on impact? Or
correct?
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. Where you line up, when you can start your approach, and then the space involved. That you're 100% correct. That you're not getting the bam plays on impact that you were getting previously. In addition, two things have happened this year that had not happened previously. One, they're putting it at the 35-yard line. So that leads to number 2. Teams don't want to just hand you the football at the 35. And that's led to number 2, which is kickers and special teams coaches have been much smarter in finding the right groove of their either kickers or kickoff specialists to place the ball in the landing zone, which now forces you to run it back. So if you can consistently kick the ball to the 6-yard line or in front of the goal line, you're making the returner make a quick decision.
Sure.
What am I doing here?
Right.
I have to judge it. So now we're actually getting football plays. Before, it had become so perfunctory
Sure. Yeah.
that now I had gotten to the point, it's really sad as a play-by-play guy, and this is one of those funny reminders, I was almost taking the play off.
Resting the pipes. Yes.
I was, resting with the pipes. I was looking at my notes. I was scanning other things that I wanted to maybe get to in the broadcast because we were getting so few kickoffs back. I just assumed it was going to be a touchback. And now you get yourself ready and thinking about, all right, what do we want to talk about here on this set of downs? Now I got to pay attention again because you might get a highlight that changes the entire game.
We're switching now to my favorite sport, the NBA, and I have the NBA League Pass. I watch all the Wolves games, but I am confused. I haven't focused. Maybe you can set me straight.
Yep.
Where are you? Are you Amazon Prime or where are you?
Yes. Amazon Prime Video, first year, inaugural season. Very excited. They put together an incredible team, and it will be Friday nights during football season. So you'll have Amazon Prime NFL on Thursday, Amazon Prime NBA on Friday.
Wow.
And then once football season ends, you'll see a shift to Thursdays for NBA, some Fridays and some international based games on Saturday. So earlier games on Saturday that will air in Europe at a more reasonable hour where they can take advantage of the fan base there, and selecting specific games with European stars that will attract some eyeballs and interest. But Friday to start, and then a shift to Thursday once we hit January.
Who's your analyst? Do you know?
It will be Stan Van Gundy for the most part, but you will see Brent Barry, you will see Dwayne Wade, you will see Steve Nash, you will see Candace Parker, you will see Del Curry, you will see Jim Jackson. It's a mix. And when I spoke with Amazon about it, I told them, look, whatever you want to do, I'm cool with. I like the idea of having different partners. I think it's advantageous to the viewer. They get different perspectives, and it keeps the play-by-play person on their feet because the dynamic is a little bit different and how you interact with your analyst is a little bit different. I've always really enjoyed that part of the job, finding common ground, finding things that work with one analyst and then finding something with a different analyst. And that's the engine that really makes this thing go.
I miss Brent Barry. I used to enjoy listening to him.
He's great.
He's clever. I met him and he was really nice to me.
Good dude.
And I'm glad he's back. I know he was in the front office of some teams. Let's see. So I want to talk Knicks for 1 second. I want to just ask you a question because sometimes you speak for the entire New York metro area.
Yes.
What are their thoughts on Karl Anthony Towns? I know he's polarizing, but I'm a KAT fan because he's so gifted offensively. But I know he's infuriating with the fouls and other things. Do you know what the fandom out there in New York thinks about KAT or not?
Yeah, it's positive.
Good.
The reaction to this past season was very positive. Thought that he played hard, liked his comportment, liked his energy level. Criticism would pop up here and there, probably very similar to Minnesota, where there were times you thought, just take over the game. Take over. And it didn't happen. He became more passive, or he passed out of the post. And you say, well, no, you've got a matchup that is favoring you. Go take over the game.
Yeah.
So I think the general feeling in the New York area right now is that the East is wide open.
Yeah.
and the Knicks have as good a chance as anybody else to come out of the East if they stay healthy, if things click under the new head coach. It threw people for a little bit of a loop that Tom Thibodeau was fired.
Yeah.
I don't think they expected it. There was a faction, but I think most people believed, hey, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's going to be enough for him to maintain his job. What they didn't factor in was the unique circumstances surrounding it. Beating Boston, for most people, would have been enough to say, you're good.
Yeah.
You're back. But losing to Indiana for the second straight year in a series that most people favored them to win probably was a big part of his undoing and how they lost that series. And I don't think the exit interviews went all that well with the players.
Yeah.
And that might have been the final nail in the coffin for him.
I didn't see all the Knicks games, but I wasn't the only one from Minnesota who's a KAT fan that was really frustrated that he didn't get the ball as much as he should with the Knicks. And I'm like, I don't know how the guy averaged 24, 25 in the regular season because Jalen Brunson, who's a stud, was not giving him the ball. I mean, KAT would go, my friend Dan Barrera does radio, was like, run one play a month for him, please. I mean, he was exaggerating, but it's like, and I got to tell you, there's a guy he's a good friend of mine, but he's a podcaster. He's a sourpuss. He hated Kirk Cousins, because of the contract, top 15 quarterback, top 5 salary. And he got tired of KAT. KAT whined more in Minnesota. He doesn't whine as much in the Big Apple. He knows to not whine as much with the refs. But that Indiana game, KAT, it was at Indiana, and he had like 3 or 4 fouls early, 2 points. And my guy tweeted, I wonder because he thought the Knicks were going to get eliminated. What do the Knicks fans think of the Karl Towns experience now? And then in the fourth quarter, he scored 20.
Yeah.
It was the New York Post was rally KAT, and he had a Statue of Liberty dunk. He had a couple threes.
Yep.
And I've actually never seen him have in the playoffs because he wasn't always dominant in the playoffs. He had 2 really good fourth quarters, one at Detroit,
correct,
and then one at the Pacers. And I know he struggles on defense. He's got big feet. He doesn't move around as much as he should. He used to block shots, but man, can that guy score. So I was happy for him, and I'm pulling for him again. I like him a lot,
Yeah, agreed with everything that you said. And even your podcasting friend, the freezing cold take, maybe in the moment, but the bigger picture is, I think Mike Brown, part of his task is going to be finding a way to feature KAT more than he was featured at times. Look, Jalen Brunson is the alpha on that team.
Clutch,
He's got
clutch
gene.
Yeah.
He is ball dominant. There is no doubt about that. And maybe part of Mike Brown and that coaching staff's job is going to be a way to marry the two and get to the place where Karl Anthony Towns can take over and will take over, and Brunson can take a back seat at moments because he trusts that KAT can do that job. But I think a lot of it comes down to that. Brunson knows he can do it and often does, and more often than not gets it done because that's who he is. But I think for this team to truly be a championship team like they dream of being, it's going to require what you just laid out. And that means times where it's Karl Anthony Towns and everybody sit back and watch him do his thing.
Yep. One more NBA question before we go and end up with the Life Gorgeous quiz. Does the cerebral Ian Eagle have any suggestions for fixing the NBA All-Star game?
Yeah, that is a $1 million question, isn't it? Because the great minds at the NBA have not figured it out yet.
I know. It's too hard. I don't know what to do.
It's interesting. My son, who's going to be doing the NBA for NBC, and I believe is going to have the assignment over All-Star Weekend because Mike Tirico at that point will be in full Olympic mode.
Oh.
Doesn't quite know what the plan is. He knows that there are some adjustments that are on the table.
Yeah.
And I think they liked what they had last year where there were 4 teams and there might be a mix of US against the world that eventually might happen. And that has gotten some traction behind the scenes. Whatever it is, and Craig, you know this, you got to get to a place where these guys are trying. It's that simple. We got to get to a place where it looks like the NBA and feels like the NBA. And it's not just guys going through the motion, because the whole vibe of it has just gone the wrong direction for too long. It used to be a celebration
of
the NBA, and even the All-Star Saturday, which they've been pretty strong in feeling what the fans want and finger on the pulse. Even that's gotten away a little bit. So they need something to perk it up.
I don't really watch. I like the 3-point contest, but that's about it. It's time for the Life Gorgeous quiz. Simple questions, profound insights. Today is a theme, and the theme is favorite Robert Redford movie.
Oh boy. The number one choice for me, just because of the history component, and watched it at an age where I was curious and wanted to learn and wanted to understand. All the President's Men is gripping. Gripping from start to finish, pre-internet age, where you just want to have more knowledge as a young person. I'm not going to tell you that it was his best performance per se, but the movie itself I thought was out of this world. The Natural was special. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid has a place in my heart. I feel like a film, believe it or not, like Sneakers, doesn't get enough attention. It was really good and ahead of its time as well. What else?
Here, I'll tell you my favorite. A lot of the journalists and the broadcasters say All the President's Men.
Yeah.
I like. Maybe you haven't seen it, because I haven't seen Sneakers, and I apologize, but I will.
It's all right.
3 Days of the Condor.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's the one I rewatch because I like those kind of spy thrillers.
Yep. No, that was great.
Next question: favorite add-on to a hamburger? Favorite add-on to a hamburger?
Craig, I know you do your research, and
you don't like hamburgers.
I don't want to burst anyone's bubble. I do like hamburgers.
Oh, good.
Quite a bit. I don't like condiments. I don't eat them. I don't consume them. So that's a whole other show. We could do an hour.
But I did say add-ons, so that means
true.
It could be
so
lettuce,
I can say American cheese.
Yes.
And I'm good.
Yes.
If you got me a burger with American cheese,
right,
I have no complaints in life.
Right.
To me, that's about as perfect a meal as you can come up with. Believe it or not, I don't eat salad as well. I know that's shocking when you see
you and Al Michaels. That's the secret.
It's a secret. So the one thing, though, that people then take affront to, I will put lettuce on a burger. I don't mind the crunch of the lettuce, although I don't eat salad. I don't eat salad because of the dressing. It's the dressing. I don't eat condiments, so I don't want that. I have an aversion.
I agree with you. I use cheddar cheese instead of American.
Cheddar's good.
Yeah. But what do you think of onions on a burger?
Okay, this is really interesting you would say this. I never did it. I thought this was taboo. Years ago, someone told me, like, you don't know what you're missing. And I said, I know what I'm missing. I don't want it. But out of nowhere, I don't know why, I don't know how, about 6 years ago, they give you the onion, but they cut it so it's different parts of it.
Yeah, circular
cut.
Out,
yeah. So what I did, I don't know what prompted me to do it. I took out the main portion and just left 2 rings on the outside. So the outer ring and the one just inside it. And I thought, you know what? Let me give it a whirl. It was excellent.
Oh, I like to hear that.
It was really good. You just can't go too far,
Right.
or for me, I get a little odge. I get a little
This
agita.
is called evolving.
Yep.
That's what this is
I'm
called.
evolving. I'm evolving.
As a kid, favorite candy bar?
It's funny. I grew up a Mets fan, but when the Reggie bar came out, the marketing was so strong in New York, and I was so impressionable. This is 78, I believe. So I was 9, and I ate those like they were going out of style. The one that may have topped it as a kid, and again, I think it's marketing, the whatchamacallit.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Not in the top 5 of popularity. You had
No,
the Snickers, you
but-
had Reese's, you had Almond Joy.
Look who you're talking to. I go against the grain.
Yeah.
I'm not a top 5 guy.
Favorite Marv Albert catchphrase?
Yes. It's simple.
Oh, that's too
There's-
easy.
You don't even have to go farther.
I forgot. I like the full repertoire.
Full repertoire is good. Or this was always a good one. This was one he could lean into if there was something a little unique or different that happened and he just needed one quick caption.
Yeah.
He'd say, "Not what he had in mind."
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Just, it said it all.
Yeah. I liked Garbage Time. That was good.
Yes.
2 more. Favorite college basketball player from Syracuse?
Ooh, I'm going to surprise you on this one.
Say it. I got a guy in my head, and which means we're not saying Carmelo, obviously,
No.
even though I love Carmelo, but go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. And let me say, I don't want to offend anyone because Syracuse is a big part of my life. I went there. My wife went there. My son went there. Daughter went there. Sherman Douglas.
Oh,
would be number
yeah.
one.
The general.
What an amazing college player. I got to know him at Syracuse and then got to know him late in his career when he was with the Nets. I just love the guy. I really just enjoy him as a person, as a player. For him to follow Pearl Washington, Greg.
That's my guy, Pearl Washington.
Yeah.
I like him. I just remember him. He was a different kind of player, right?
Yes, very much so.
He dribbled low and he was moved around. And I liked his nickname because I liked Earl
the
Monroe.
whole thing.
Yeah.
He got to the Nets and obviously was taken in the first round, and they had huge hopes for him to be the face of the franchise. And I talked to people that were on that team, and the first day of training camp, they got to the locker room and Pearl was undressing, and people on the team realized at that point there was no chance this guy was ever going to be a superstar. He just wasn't going to have the physical profile.
Oh, yeah.
To be at that level.
Yeah.
He was a gifted passer. He had incredible vision and feel.
Right.
But in the NBA, there is a physical component.
Yep.
And he was never going to match what you needed to be physically at the top of your field.
Yeah. Before your time, this guy actually played in the NBA for a while. Ernie DiGregorio.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't last. And I don't think physically he was that gifted, but he could pass.
Providence. Yep.
Rookie of the year.
Yep.
Final question. Favorite Craig Kilborn nickname? Kilby.
I mean, I say Craigers because that's the one that
choices. I'm going to give you
one of my other 2 choices.
Kilby. Lord Kilby. Young Craigers.
Young Craigers.
Yes.
Maybe I should move to Young Craigers.
Yeah.
Because it becomes ironic at this stage of life. Young.
Well, there's
Craigers.
still a boyish enthusiasm.
There is
innocence.
Completely. No, I'm gonna make the shift. You just convinced me to make the shift to Young. I was just going Craigers, and now I'm gonna have to include Young in front of it. Yeah.
I don't see the irony. I'm kidding. Thank you, sir. That was fun.
Jumanji, I love it. Love you. Love doing your show anytime. I mean, once a year, but
anytime in September next year in 2026. Great to see you, brother.
You too, man. All the best. If I have a Vikings game, I will text you. I will let you know. And hopefully I'm going to have some Timberwolves games on Amazon Prime Video
They're
that
on. They're definitely on nationally.
that's
this
going to
year.
happen. It's going to
People
happen. Interesting though, the team, if you're going to look at all the teams in the NBA, all 30, the Timberwolves may have had the least turnover of any team in the league. There are not a lot of changes there.
The change is they're going to play their bench more. So
Yep.
the two rookies from last year, Terrence Shannon Jr.,
Yep.
TJ, who I compared to Shrewdness Marshallonis a little bit. He likes to drive physically.
Yep.
And Rob Dillingham, who barely
Dilly.
played. They're going to play
Dilly
those
Dilly.
guys more.
Yep. So two
So-
add-ons.
We lost one guy, Nikhil Alexander Walker, who was in the rotation.
Yeah, that's tough. Good defender.
Yeah.
Hit big shots for you.
Yeah.
I liked his game. He was a bargain for what they were getting. So I think they knew they were going to lose him. But you're right. Shannon, the explosiveness, and then Dillingham. You and I a year ago talked about his size. There was a little bit of a concern with that, but his speed makes up for it. He's really lightning quick.
What was interesting is I believe, and others have said this, that in the first two playoff series when we beat the Lakers and then the Warriors, they said that's the best Julius Randle has ever played.
Yeah.
So he found a groove late in the season, and I
Yep.
hope it continues. He did say, I don't know if you saw this recently.
He's
He
off
said,
the weed. He's off the weed. Yeah.
He's off the weed.
Yep.
And as soon as I get off the weed, I think more things will happen for me.
This whole other life you're going to lead.
Thank you, Ian. That was great.
Young
That's our
Craigers.
show. That's
See
our
ya.
show. We'll see you next time. And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.